John D. Rockefeller was born July 8, 1839, in Richford, New York. His parents were William Avery Rockefeller and Eliza Davison Rockefeller. His father was a salesman that claimed to have a cure. The nature of his job led him to be gone most of the time. His mother was a religious woman and always taught John to be charitable. He made his first business transaction at the age of 12 when he loaned a farmer $50 at a 7% interest rate. In 1852, Rockefeller attended Owego Academy in Owego, New York. He excelled in arithmetic and was average for all other subjects. In 1853, the Rockefellers moved to Cleveland, Ohio. This is where John attended high school until graduation in 1855. After graduating high school, he attended Folsom's Commercial College. This is where he learned bookkeeping, penmanship, commercial history, mercantile customs, banking, and exchange. In the fall of 1855, Rockefeller landed his first bookkeeping job with Hewitt & Tuttle. The company specialized in commission merchants and produce shippers. He excelled at making complicated business decisions and collecting money from delinquent clients. In the spring of 1859, Rockefeller quit Hewitt & Tuttle and partnered with Maurice Clark to form Clark and Rockefeller. They were also commission merchants and did quite well in the competitive industry by grossing $450,000 in their first year of business. The success of the company is credited to Rockefeller's business instinct. The Civil War also helped to expand their business and drive up the prices of goods and their commissions. Although the commission merchant's business was good, John had felt that he had reached his maximum. He realized that he needed to find a good that is more raw and abundant, like oil. He saw his chance and took it. John begins to invest in the oil refining business in 1862. In 1863, the Andrew Clark and Company was formed. The Pennsylvania oil was considered of the highest quality. John focused on the refining process because he did not like to waste raw material. He was a man of precision and tried to pull every efficiency he could out of the business. He hired his own plumber for this reason. He also bought tracts of land covered in oaks. He then built kilns on those tracts of land to dry the wood out to reduce shipping costs. At the age of 23, John took complete control of the company when he bought the Clark brothers out of the oil business for $72,500. In 1866, John enlisted the help of his brother, William Rockefeller, to handle the export business, which eventually outgrew its domestic market. Henry M. Flagler became a partner of Rockefeller and Andrews. By 1868, they had grown to become the largest refiner of oil in the world. Flagler and Rockefeller were very alike and both understood that if they wanted to stay at the top of the oil business, they had to be the biggest and utilize their waste. They also understood that the barriers to entry were very low and anyone with financial backing could enter the market. The sheer size that their business had grown to was unfathomable. They owned everything that had to do with their business operations. On January 10, 1870, the Standard Oil Company was created. Its partners were John D. Rockefeller, William Rockefeller, Henry Flagler, Samuel Andrews, Stephen Harkness, and O.B. Jennings. John, of course, owned almost double the percent of any of the other partners. In 1871, they decided that they should unite all the refineries. Their plan was to buy out all their competitors, starting with the toughest and moving down to the weakest. Their properties were bought in cash, and Standard Oil stocks were issued to them. In the spring of 1872, they had bought or merged with all the refineries in Cleveland. Some of the refineries were destroyed, and others were upgraded. After they secured the oil business in Cleveland, they decided to expand their business to Long Island, New York, and Louisville, Kentucky. From 1875 to 1882, Standard Oil had acquired many different pipeline routes and negotiated shipping with the major railroad companies. On January 2, 1882, the Standard Oil Trust was formed. The idea was formed by attorney Samuel Dodd. A board of trustees was set up, and the Standard properties were placed in its hands. The trust was valued at $200 million. There were 35,000 shares, and 9,585 were controlled by John. By 1890, the Standard Oil had set up a nationwide distribution system. By 1904, 80% of American towns were supplied Standard Oil to businesses and homes. In March 21st, 1892, the trust was dissolved after a suit was filed against it in 1890. The trust certificates were exchanged for shares of stocks. In the early 1890s, John suffered from bad health. At this time, he lost his hair on his head and even his eyebrows. During this time of his life, his wealth had grown so large that he did not know what to do with it. At this time, individuals and charities were begging John for funding. This is when he enlisted the help of Frederick T. Gates to be the full-time manager of his fortunes. By 1896, John stopped going to his office and the following year retired at the age of 58. When he stepped down, John Archibald ran Standard Oil. Rockefeller kept to his mother's teachings by being charitable. His fortune peaked at $900 million by 1912. By then, he donated hundreds of millions of dollars to various organizations. He donated $75 million to the University of Chicago and gave $50 million to the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research, better known as the Rockefeller University today. In 1909, John created the Rockefeller Sanitary Commission, which is largely responsible for getting rid of the hookworm in the South. John D. Rockefeller's leadership style portrayed several different traits: attention to detail, persistence, tenacity, pleasant by nature, patience, calculated, not much of a risk taker, precision, and efficiency were some of the main keys to his success.